Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, or co-host, I should say, Jeff Dawson at East Coast Sports Investors. This is your closing bell / midday market report for Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's been a great week. It's been a great 13-week run for the ECSI VIPs. Another envelope Monday yesterday, 6 and 3 week plus 3.45 units. That is our 10th winning week in the last 13. We've had one losing week in the last 13 weeks, and we've had two pushes in between there. An absolute historic run. Blessed, grateful. All the ECSI VIP family members, congrats, well earned and deserves. And for all you that just sit here and watch our shows, I thank you. I really do. But yes, we give out winners here, a lot of them. But the meat and potatoes is still behind the pay curtain for just $3 a day. It's a gym membership, and you get to get texts, emails delivered right at your living room, your gym, your wedding that you're at, the golf course, whatever. Never miss a play there as well. But if you're watching and listening and happy with this, God bless you. We thank you. We really do. But if you really want to dig deep and be a part of a 13-week historic run, send me a DM at EC Sports Investors. Send us an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. Or just go to the website, www.eastcoastsportsinvestors. Hit price and planning on the top, and if you scroll all the way down, you're going to see our retail monthly membership, and then you're going to see something that says first time. Take advantage of it. Without further ado, and listen, Mr. Pack himself is back, the one and only Southside Rielly. Afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, my friend. Happy Tuesday afternoon. Had to think what day of the week we are here. And obviously, I've got temporary backdrop with the Packers action here. So testing out some more than just the blank white that I usually have behind me. Need to spice it up a little bit. But I am juiced to be here, as always, my friend. Plenty of college basketball games today. Still no NBA. I think Thursday and Friday is the restart after the All-Star break there. And then obviously you got tonight's show with Scotty talking plenty of baseball. And that is quickly coming right around the corner. And as far as my teams go, White Sox pick up Elvis Andrus. Obviously, not breaking headlines all over the place or anything like that, but better than nothing at this point for the White Sox. Not to go on a huge spiel there, but we were relying on opposite Tim Anderson up until that signing a kind of a I say 4A. Which might have even been generous for what we would have been dealing with outside of Elvis Andrus. And if anything happens to Tim Anderson or Elvis Andrus, it might be an ugly situation in the middle of the infield there. So steady, decent pickup in the middle of the season last year. Certainly wasn't the reason why they ended the way they did. So I'm pleased with that signing as compared to absolutely nothing. So. Hopefully there's one more starting pitcher or something else coming our way in at least a similar fashion that can tie up a few gaping holes that we've got to at least get us to a somewhat complete team there. So I'm getting more and more excited the closer we get to the season here.
I was going to say Elvis did not leave the building. I sent you that tweet last night. Something's better than nothing. A lot of baseball news going on. The World Baseball Classic getting a lot closer. pitchers and catchers reporting, and you keep an eye and you keep your fingers and toes crossed that no one gets hurt. A lot of, DeGroms of the world. For us, Balo, tightness. So you hear tightness, and I say to myself, what the hell you been doing all off season? What the hell's going on? The one shining bright spot in our 5-man rotation, other than Garrett Whitlock, and he's already banged up. And not that, Pedro wants to take him under his wings. He kind of has the framework of a Pedro. He's considered a baby Pedro. But you just don't like to hear those reports in February.
No, definitely not. That's the type of stuff the White Sox have been hearing in May and June and April the last few years. But yeah, so I don't wish that on my worst enemy there as far as those nagging injuries in baseball. So yeah, like I said, I'm getting more and more excited the more we see some of these clips coming out, and they're just the buzz coming back. So I'll be ready to rock and roll.
Yesterday we went 1-2. We had an amazing dog with the Winnipeg Jets plus 156, pizza and beer money on their team total over 2.5. We lost early in the day. We got cute. When you get cute in the market, it bites you in the ass. Panthers were minus 300, 350 against the Ducks, minus a hook first period, minus 115. But the telltale sign was the over 1.5 in the first period was minus 210. So here's the math. Vegas is telling you 1-1 or at least 2-0 after one period. So I'm like, you know what? I get Panthers back home Monday, holiday. I think they get that 2-0 first period win. Well, I was right on the 2-0. Unfortunately, it was the Ducks, right? So our third game, here's the question of the day. Anyone watching and listening, gone to my timeline or Riley's timeline if you want to answer this question. TCU was playing Kansas. Now, Kansas overnight number was 1. The morning number was 1.5 TCU, then 2, closed at 2.5. We released TCU minus 128 on the money line. The money line closed at minus 170 on TCU. Great CLV. We couldn't have been happier. You know what happens when you get this amazing CLV. So I talk about Jedi mind tricks. So I'm going to ask you the question, Riley. Would you have bet TCU? And now I know we already know the results, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Go back to yesterday. Would you have bet TCU plus 2.5 yesterday, or would you have felt more propelled to bet TCU last night as a 2.5-point favorite versus a Kansas team who just wiped the snots out of Oklahoma earlier in the week and then down 18 at one point, 13 at halftime to Baylor, outscored them by 29 points in the second half, blow their doors out, and now 2.5-point dogs last night at TCU, who had beaten them by 22 earlier in the year. And I had said Kansas was on that 2-0 revenge tour.
Yeah, no, we're on the same page for sure. And you didn't mention the TCU losing streak leading up to that, whether or not it was with Miles or not. I mean, and the ugly showing to Iowa State. So no, absolutely. And especially, Kansas coming off the win against Baylor. I have so much respect for Baylor right now. It's not even funny. So coming off of that one, I was thinking the same thing. So I ended up taking the night off altogether, just a reset day for myself, not because I didn't like the thought process there at all, but I'm 100% with you. And after, even despite the big win, it wasn't, that wasn't shying me away. So no, same thought process for sure. 100%.
Pretty decent slate on the board tonight. You got some Big Ten games, some decent ones. Villanova Xavier tips off at 6:30, the rest at 7 and later. A couple marquee games. Again, Baylor at K-State, Indiana, Michigan State, Iowa at Texas, Texas Tech at Oklahoma, and I know I've missed Tennessee at A&M. A lot of great games out there. So I'm going to toss the ball over to you and let you run with it.
All right. Yeah, you said it the first one up. Obviously, I always kick it back to you with these Big East questions for sure and Big East games. But Nova and Xavier, 4.5 at home. I mean, 13-14 Nova. What are we talking about here? Villanova just lost at Providence as 3.5-point dogs. So you might have thought what was going on there, and then Providence takes care of business. Xavier. Last 5 games, a couple wins at home, a couple convincing, one against Providence. The 2 losses on the road, obviously, and then they bounce back with the big win against DePaul over the weekend. Are you thinking Nova in this spot as far as 4.5-point dogs? These Big Big East teams at home have been as stingy as they come for the most part here. So to see 4.5 against this Villanova team was surprising to me when I pulled this one up.
It's funny. We're quote unquote handicappers. I like to consider myself more of a sports market guy, a sports consultant. We read the market. The more you can just base your numbers and your reflections and your releases on the numbers, and you take the must wins, the big win, the big loss, you take all that out, you're going to be better off in the long run. That's why this fall and into this start of the 2023, we've been on these epic runs. So I'm going to take you back to Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. Providence at home against Villanova.
Yeah.
Now, the number was 5.5, 6. Ken Palm was 7. Now, go back on Wednesday. Providence played double overtime against Creighton, okay?
Right.
And they beat them. Providence is at UConn tomorrow. It was the perfect spot for Villanova. Guess who had Villanova? Right here. Again, too much of this. So what happens? The hardest thing in our business is to get back on the horse. Last night, okay, we weren't part of Sunday and the Winnipeg Jets against New Jersey. The whole social media was on the Jets. The Devils win 4-2. Now the Jets go into the Rangers coming off of a 7-game winning streak and a long West Coast trip. They lost on Saturday, but the whole world was on the Rangers. It was easy for us to get on the horse for the Jets. The people that had them on Sunday, it's hard to get back on the horse on Monday.
Right.
So we start with this game. Ken Palm has 80-72, Xavier. My number has 6. The market at circa right now is 4.5. I am supposed to get back on the horse and take Nova today, buy the hook, take Nova +5. I'm supposed to take them on the money line and don't watch one iota of this game. If you had Villanova on Saturday against Providence, you're supposed to take them today against Xavier.
It was exactly what I was thinking. I mean, it's head scratching. You got a losing team right now, and it's against is Xavier number 16 in the country right now. So, no, it's a tough pill to swallow. But I mean, I was shocked to see 4.5 at home for Xavier. If this was on the road, 4.5, I could make sense of that. But yeah, this one was shocking to me, if I'm being totally honest with you.
No, and it makes 0 sense. Okay. Xavier, 21st on Ken Palm, Villanova 72nd, okay? I'm going to pull up Xavier's resume right now. 20-7, 12-4 in conference. You know how many conference games they've lost? At home.
At home, 1 or 0?
Zero.
Yeah.
0. Their losses in conference, DePaul, Creighton, Butler, Marquette, all on the road. Their home games.
Yep.
Their home games in conference. They beat the Hall by 3. They beat UConn by 10. They beat Creighton by 3. They beat Georgetown by 13. They beat Providence in overtime by 2. They beat St. John's by 25. So, and they just beat DePaul by 14. So I think Vegas is saying, come on, Xavier, we got you.
Yeah.
And this is that 1, 2, 3-point win. This is that. And again, if this show extends to 6 o'clock, I don't have to release Villanova on principle because you're supposed to take Villanova today.
I know. We can move off of it, but I'm glad it's the first one off the board, but it's impossible to ignore there. So, like you said, plenty of good games. Next one up, 7 your time, 6 my time. Miami at Virginia Tech. I'm sure a lot of people probably surprised to see AP number 13 Miami at Virginia Tech as underdogs. Another one that you know what, I've seen Virginia Tech. I kind of like them in a lot of senses. They've been a little back and forth lately, though. They huge win against Virginia, then they lose at home to BC, bounce back at Notre Dame, whatever. Then lose at Georgia Tech, which you can't do also, and then they bounce back at home with a win against Pitt. So when they're playing right, they are a tough team to beat, and obviously this Miami team is rolling. So are you interested in Virginia Tech in this spot as the home favorite against the 22-5 Hurricanes?
My overnight number, Virginia Tech -1 with a 155.5. Currently at circa, it's 2.5 with a 153.5. Ken Palm has this game at 80-79 Miami of Florida. They have them ranked 31st and Virginia Tech 70th. Let me see one there. On Tuesday, January 31st, Tech lost at Miami 92-83. They're in that win one, lose one. They lose on the 31st to Miami. They beat Virginia. Then they lose to BC. They beat Notre Dame. They lose to Georgia Tech. They beat Pitt. So if they stay in form, this will lose today. This Miami Florida team is 22-5. 13-4 in conference play, and they've won 6 in a row. After this, they got 2 home games, Florida State and Pitt. They're supposed to win those. So at worst, they finish 24-6 if they lose today. It's a coin toss. Ken Palm's got this at 159. If you can get 153, I do like the over here. I do like the over at 153. Buy the hook, take it down. I got the public's pushed it up to 2.5, 3. That's all public money. That's not sharp money. Yeah. That's public money because the sharp money would have hit it overnight. And so this is all public. If you got to play this game, I lean over 153.
Okay. That was, the total was interesting to me too because Virginia Tech is obviously typically in the, the 130s, but obviously Miami sometimes in the 160s, so you're kind of meeting in the middle a little bit there. So I like it. I like that. I'm interested to watch that game. Baylor, Kansas State is one of the better games of the night. 2 top 15 teams per the AP. Baylor coming off the loss to Kansas after a smoking hot run. K-State scuffle a little bit, then bounce back against Iowa State at home this past weekend. Kansas State beat Baylor at the beginning of January in, I don't know if it was double overtime, single overtime, but I know it was overtime, 97-95. So we're looking at Baylor -1.5 on the road here and a 148. Anything you're interested in here after the 97-95? I don't know exactly what it was in regulation, but I know it was probably a 160 finish. Any interested in the under with the 148 total, or you're not making anything out of the correlation between last game and this game with the total where it is? Any leans whatsoever on this one?
I had a pick 'em at a 147.5. It's right now 148, and Baylor won in a hook. As I started talking last week, this Baylor team's really rounding into form. Mm-hmm. Played an amazing first half in Kansas, and then just got the doors blown off of them. Outscored by 29. That's a tough pill to swallow. And here's the other thing. And again, as you see here, smell the smoke. Because Baylor Saturday is hosting Texas. So if you sit even on Saturday and go through the motions here, knowing that you got a big game on Saturday against Texas, you're going to get your doors blown off. Ken Park 76-75. They got K-State winning. Slightest of lean on Baylor in the bounce back. I loved what I saw until that second half. With that, I don't like the total. I like where your thought process is on taking the under there. But I look for Baylor to bounce back. But you'll know early. If you want Baylor in this game, you better have something on the first half.
Yeah. And honestly, what you mentioned earlier in the show, it's totally different parallels, not parallel at all. As far as getting cute, me trying to think the total out like that and go under would be my type of trying to get cute, and then the next thing you know, it's another 89-85 game or something like that. So I'm staying out of it. And as far as the spread, I'm with you. I lean Baylor just because I respect them so damn much, and I like what I'm seeing right now. And so that's I'm trying not to be overly biased and just the eye test, controlling my brain too much on this one. So that's why I lean this way. And I've bet against K-State a handful of times. As far as I think I'm at a spot where I'm respecting them, but also trying to find spots where they're overrated in. And I would prefer it if Baylor was 2.5, 3.5 if I was jumping in on this one. So I like Baylor a lot in general. So we'll move on. This is probably my aside from the Big Ten game, probably the game I'm looking forward to tonight the most here. Actually, this other one, same time, is pretty damn good as well. Another team that I've had some solid action with. Texas A&M hosting Tennessee, number 11 Tennessee, 24 Texas A&M, at least per the AP. Both teams actually 20-7. Texas A&M, I had them this past weekend against Missouri, so I'm, they've obviously rattling off some wins here. I've kind of had them a few too many times here. Tennessee lost 3 of their last 4. Obviously lost at Kentucky on this past weekend here. They're kind of skidding a little bit. This offense, aside from they had a decent showing in a loss to Mizzou, but aside from that, their offense has been ugly. So I'm not sure what to make out of this one. Total at 129.5. I guess I assume if anyone hasn't seen Texas A&M, they'd be surprised to see Tennessee as dogs here, and I see about 60% of bets and money on Tennessee. So I'm going to lean towards A&M, but like I said, I've kind of been on the train a little too much the last couple of weeks here. So wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee bounces back in this one. But I'm interested to see where you're thinking with this one. I'm staying far away from it.
I had an overnight number of a pick with a 130. Right now, 129.5. A&M a 2.5 point favorite. Ken Palm has Tennessee still ranked 5th. A&M 29th. Ken Palm's got Tennessee 66-65. I'm going to pull up the resume of Tennessee for a second. You'll never buy them at a lower point. 20-7 overall, 9-5 now in conference. As you said, they've lost 4 of the last 6 in conference play. After the loss early in the year against Kentucky, they went to Mississippi State and won by 11. I'm expecting that team today. I'm expecting a firm bounce back. They got South Carolina at home on Saturday, Arkansas on Tuesday, and they end at Auburn. I'm expecting Tennessee to win the next 4 here, to wake up, smell the coffee. Rick Barnes' ass has got to be a little hot right now because the natives are getting restless now. Enough is enough here. You got more talent. Listen, this team can go and match up with the UCLAs, the Houstons, the Kansases, with all of them. I know their offense has been inept of late. I look for a bounce back. I like the spot. Again, grab them in the first half if you're going to go a full unit. Go sprinkle something them on the first half. Play the money line in the game. I think it's a great spot for them. You'll never get them at a lower point right now.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right, and you're never gonna. If, like I said, I'm kind of off the Texas A&M train. I caught them as dogs the other day against Mizzou. I'm not interested in them as a favorite to this level, or as a favorite in this spot. It's probably going to be an amazing atmosphere, but kind of feels like one of those games where they put up a nice fight, and it's an awesome atmosphere. But at the end of the day, like you're saying, I absolutely could see what you're laying down with the nice Tennessee win here. I want to respect them as far as a tournament team as well. So maybe the right time for them to have had their dip, and now starting maybe tonight on through the next month and a half, all systems go. Hopefully for their sake, it's timed up well for them there. So staying in the SEC, same time, a lot of games tonight. 6 and at the 7 and 9 o'clock window there. Mississippi State at Mizzou. Mississippi State, another under-the-radar team for the most part. They've been winning a decent amount of games. Missouri has not been playing as well. They got a nice win against Tennessee a week and a half or so ago, but lost their last two at Auburn and home against Texas A&M. Mississippi State has actually won a bunch in this rivalry between these two teams here. So I'm kind of going with the team that I still think is kind of under the radar. In Mississippi State against a team in Missouri that's been kind of slowly regressing from where they were at the start. But, if you disagree with me, I wouldn't, I'm not as, hell-bent on my stance here with Mississippi State. But I'm going to lean towards Mississippi State here tonight.
February 4th, Mizzou lost 63-52. They come back with a win against South Carolina, the big upset against Tennessee. 2 losses in a row, Auburn and A&M. Ken Palm's got them winning the last 4 out, which would put them at 23-8 and in the dance. Ken Palm's got it 71-70. It's an inflated number right now. I had 2.5 with the 139. It's up to 3.5 with a 140.5 right now. Missouri had been and the numbers. Yeah. We're on our overplays with our Spanky odds, with our Ken Palm, and then sprinkling in some Ken White numbers as well. The numbers have been too sharp of late. They're on to us, it seems. Mississippi State, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've won 6 out of their last 7. Their only loss was to Kentucky by 3 at home. After this game, they are at home against A&M, South Carolina, then at Vandy. Ken Palm's got them losing tonight by 1 and winning the next 3. I'm going to take what you're saying. I like the Mississippi State side with the inflated number. Sprinkle a little pizza and beer money on them as well.
Yeah, and the 6 out of 7 and then showing up as a 3.5-point dog against a team that's a little struggling a little bit would be concerning to me, but I think a lot of people still have, still respecting this Missouri team for what they did early in the season and don't really realize, how good Mississippi State's been lately. So I'm a little wishy-washy on if I actually want to fire away on it. But, yeah, I especially with the 3.5 as opposed to a pick 'em or something like that, I am definitely leaning towards that way there. So let's see. Moving on. That's got to be it for that 6, 7 o'clock window there. Yep. 7:30 my time, 8:30 your time. The other Big East game, Marquette at Creighton, 5.5 with a 146.5. These two teams played in December, and Marquette won at Marquette as 4-point favorites. Marquette's been playing well again here. Creighton, both these teams playing really damn well. Are you respecting the 5.5 here at home with Creighton, or are you interested in the big number? A rare chance to catch Marquette at that type of number.
I like the way Creighton they'll be a second weekend team in the tournament. You just look; they lost double overtime against Providence on Tuesday. Come back, beat the Johnnies by 10. They have. After Marquette, they're at Villanova. They got Georgetown home and at DePaul. So, again, Ken Palm's got them winning their last 4. I look up here. They lost at Marquette by 11, 69-58. I think it's a good bounce-back spot. I respect the number. I had a 5.5 for the 147.5. It's at 146.5 for the 5.5 now. I think with these two teams, this number's supposed to fly over. That's just how the head's wired. And it was only a 127 in the first spot, yet it's 20 points higher right now. So believe it or not, I lean lean to the over, but I think Creighton gets it done as well.
No, I like that. I guess I kind of moved past that point. Like you said, it was a 153.5 the first time too, and it stayed at whatever you said, 69.58. So I like that. I do like that for that one. That one could be really fun there. So moving to the later window here, going to the Big Ten. Indiana at Michigan State. Indiana is one of the hotter teams in the country and certainly the Big Ten. Lost last week at Northwestern, but then bounced back at home with a nice win against Illinois. Michigan State, obviously, we talked about them heading into the weekend, had a tragedy on campus last week. Lost at Michigan on, I think it was Saturday night, 72-84. Game goes over. Indiana gets the win against Michigan State back in January at Indiana, 82-69. I don't know. Are you respecting the Michigan State being favored, or is this too much love for the almost March Izzo crowd here?
I had a 1.5 with a 136.5. Public again has pushed it to 3 at a 137. I mean, we're waiting. We're waiting last year, and it never came. Michigan State 16-10, 8-7 in conference. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4-6 their last 10 in conference play. They lost at Michigan by 12. In between, they beat Ohio State, they beat Maryland, lose to Rutgers and Purdue, beat Iowa, lose to Indiana. So again, they lost to Indiana by 13 on the 22nd. We had Indiana there. Indiana, let me do this. Indiana, rounding in the 4, you know that.
Yeah.
19-8, 10-6 in conference. On the road, they lost to Northwestern by 2. In Maryland, they lost by 11 on the road. They lost to Penn State on the road by 29. They lost to Iowa on the road by 2. They lost to Kansas at Kansas by 22. They lost to Rutgers on the road by 15. So again, what am I saying? They don't play well on the road. So it's a great spot for Michigan State. I don't like the 3 number. And I'm not telling you to go play the money line minus 140 or 145, whatever it is. I like the Michigan State minus 1.5/ money line there. Anything with the 3 in front of it, forget about it. But I think Michigan State will find a way and win this game.
It does feel like that. I think it's gonna end up coming real close to it. I'm gonna lean towards the under. The 137 or whatever it is right now, 136.5. I'm going to lean towards it. I think that's probably going to come real close to it. First time around, it was 137.5 a few weeks ago, about a month ago, and it goes, 151 or something like that. Michigan State and Michigan put up, 72-84, and Indiana just puts up 71-68 against Illinois. So I'm going to lean towards the under on top of what you're saying there, but I agree with you. I do agree with you.
I like the thought process. Again, they scored 151 the first time, and yet Vegas says, all right, well, we're going to put a 136.5. They shave off 15. We know Michigan State at home tends to play slow. They don't want to get into a first 1 to 75 tonight. I like where your eyes are there. I do.
Hey, this could be the midweek paint dryer. I like I said, I think it could end up being a decent game and go close to that number, but it also could be a 59 first to 60 points or something like that. So, I'm leaving it on the desk. It wouldn't surprise me if they, had a nice night on both sides, but that's where I'm leaning for sure. Iowa State, Texas. Another top 25 matchup. I'm seeing a couple different spots here. 7.5 mostly across the board. FanDuel's dropped it down to 6.5 with a 136.5 here. Texas has been going back and forth for the most part here. Win at K-State, loss at Kansas, win at home against West Virginia, big win. Loss at Texas Tech, and then a win this past weekend at home against Oklahoma. Iowa State's regressed for the most part here, so I can understand why the line is where it is. They've lost 3 of their last 4. Their offense at times is pretty damn rough. Their defense, though, I mean, their defense can keep them in games, but they really, really need a huge, huge defensive performance. So I'm going to respect the number, but I'm going to stay far away from it. I think Texas wins, but it might be right around that 7 number right there.
January 17th, to be exact, Iowa State beat them at Ames 78-67. Since then, West Virginia, Oklahoma State win, lost to Tennessee. Baylor, Kansas State win, lost to Kansas. Beat West Virginia, lost to Tech, beat Oklahoma. I like Texas in the bounce back. I think the number's spot on. I could see it kind of creeping close. I mean, 145 the first time these two played. I had a 136.5. I think Texas wins. I'm going to just lean double-digit win. But again, I think the number's spot on. It could be a late 3 to push it to the Iowa State cover side. But outright win, I definitely like Texas tonight.
Yep, I think we're on the same page here. I was trying to piece it together. Not quite where I'd like it to be, but if you love Texas and Creighton to get the job done, but worried about the number, pizza and beer money, not quite plus money, minus 112 is the two-legger there for the 2 money lines there. So not.
I like where your eyes are. The one thing that I just to tell everyone, Texas goes to Baylor on Saturday. So if they start to peak, they could be in trouble. But don't forget, they did lose to them. They're 10-4, 21-6. Again, this Texas team, I have to say it every time we talk about them. They lost their head coach, their leader, Chris Beard. They had a few bumps, but hats off to them. This team is designed to go to the second weekend in March. Now, what they do after that, I don't know. But the fact is, they're long. They can play both styles. I look up a Kansas State game on January 3rd. They put up 116. Okay. There's not a lot of D1 teams that can say they put up 116 on the year in one game. So they can beat you 48-47, or they can say, hey, come on, we'll run with you. Let's go. So not many teams can do that.
100%. No, I absolutely agree with you. Staying in the Big 12, not as good of a game on paper, but 2 teams that if you restart the season, one of them might have had a better season here in a tournament team season here. Texas Tech and Oklahoma. Texas Tech actually 15-12. They are trending in the right direction after a rough start, obviously. Too little, too late, but they've won their last 3. Home against K-State, home against Texas, and at West Virginia. Oklahoma going the opposite way. They've lost a handful. 4 of their last 5 at the very least here. At West Virginia, at Baylor, home to Kansas, beat K-State at home, and then just lost at Texas by 2. Oklahoma gets the win at Texas Tech early in the year, 68-63. I've had Texas Tech in a few spots. I told you I had them in that game comeback against Iowa State. I've had them. I didn't have them this past week. I think I had them against K-State as well. So I am sitting off of the Texas Tech bandwagon here, but I will go ahead and lean Texas Tech in the points there, but I could go either way in this one.
Oklahoma beat them in OT 68-63 at Tech. 3-11 in conference play, 13-14. Beat K-State 2 games ago. They did take Texas to OT. Look at them. They beat Bama. They beat West Virginia. So they beat Florida. They have some big wins when they show up. And I'll pull up the Texas Tech resume right now. They've won 5 of the last 7. There are only 2 losses to Baylor and Okie State. They beat K-State. They beat Texas. They beat West Virginia. They host TCU on Saturday. Then they travel to Kansas and they close out against Okie State. Ken Palm's got it 71-67. I'm going to I don't like the number. I'm not going to tell anyone to play the money line. I think Oklahoma finds a way and gets it done. I do,
Fair
but
enough.
I'm not gonna buy the hook to 2 and have them win by 1. I just, again, these numbers, I'm not playing inflated lines, and I'm not telling people to go to the window to play minus 130s, 35s, and 40s because they add up. I think Oklahoma wins. I can't bet it at 2.5. I can't. I'm sorry.
No. I think both of these teams are, you've either, like I said with Texas Tech, I've caught a couple fantastic spots, and I feel like I need to take my money and run. And maybe someone's had that with Oklahoma, or the complete opposite with either of these teams. And at this point in the season, you've either had some miracles with these two teams, or like you said with Oklahoma, they're big upsets, or you've gotten completely burned by either one of these two teams. And unless you feel confident about a side, I'm with you. We can face off on it. I'll say I lean Texas Tech getting the win, but your logic is a little more sound than mine is on this one. Other than that, that is about it for the at least the marquee games of the night. Anything else on the slate? Plenty of mid-major games here as well. Anything else that you wanted to mention?
No, I think you covered it real well. It's a decent slate. It really is. There's a lot of games that catch my eye. There's a lot of tough ones, and it's 6:05, so I'm not giving out Villanova. Anyone watching and listening want to scratch an itch, go grab Nova first half, go grab them full game, go grab them a little pizza and beer money. And listen, they don't have the offense to hang with Xavier. They don't. But the number stinks to holy hell, and we had them on Saturday against Providence. I'm not going to be able to get the alert out. I'm going to back off there. I think we covered the board well. St. Louis and Richmond kind of caught my eye. The number doesn't make any sense. Richmond overnight was 1. St. Louis team started the year okay. Now they've crashed and burned. I'm real interested to see if you get the Tennessee bounce back. Do you get the Baylor bounce back? Does Michigan State and Izzo's Armies, do they wake up finally? That Creighton and Marquette game, I mean, there's some real good games tonight.
I'm excited. This is it's tough because I might throw together a couple bucks on an action parlay or something, but aside from that, I don't feel that strongly about everything, but it's a great popcorn night for sure in college basketball here.
I'm going to pull up the NHL and see if I find a couple team totals with people. Vegas thinks Tampa's got a shot to get to 5 tonight. I'm going to go over here. They're minus 540 against the Ducks, and the Ducks quacked last night against Florida. Under over 6.5. So people would say, Jeff, why don't you just take the over? Well, because Tampa could win 5-1. That's why. But you're getting even money on the Lightning to get to 5 if you want to scratch an itch over there. That's number 1. I don't like the number. Washington opened minus 150 with a 6 over against the Red Wings. It's now 148. So money's trickling in on the Red Wings. If you liked the Washington side and you didn't want to bet the minus 148, take them team total over 3.5. You can get them at plus 120 tonight. If you like the Washington side and didn't want to lay the 148 there. A couple big numbers. If you like Vancouver tonight, you can get them to get to 4, team total over 3.5 plus 150. Minnesota hosting Los Angeles. The Wild, the minus 130. That was the overnight number. It's down to 118. People are pounding the Kings. If you like the Minnesota side and you want to bet the 118, go ahead and do that. If you want to take a nice swing at a nice dog, take their team total over 3.5. You can get them at plus 140. And I'll just say this. Vegas is at Chicago tonight. Vegas opened at 290 with a 6.5. It's down to 260 with a 6.5. If you want to get cute tonight, I said if you want to get cute, take the Chicago Blackhawks team total over 2.5 and get that at plus 115. And last but not least, Edmonton against Philly. It's a 7. The under over is 7. Edmonton's minus 300. They killed we had action parlays tied up with Edmonton, Rielly, on Sunday. And we had Georgetown plus 5.5, and we had them on the money line. We had the Senators money line with the puck line. Edmonton up 3-0, 4-2, 5-3, minus 1,100 with 4 minutes to go, and they lose in overtime. If you want to go back with Edmonton to get 5 tonight, team total over 4.5 plus 125. Closing thoughts.
I like it. Closing thoughts. I'll pick. I'm obviously not the hockey guy. And maybe my insight's worth nothing here, but Patrick Kane put together a hat trick the other night at home on the trade deadline potentially, or trade block potentially. Obviously, only a few more home games. I'm just saying, be wary of the Blackhawks at home these next few games, or Patrick Kane, because maybe the other night was an indication. Might be trying to put on a few more shows if he is on the move, which, he's got a no trade clause, and maybe they don't move on from him. But that is all I'm saying there. And you obviously said, maybe Blackhawks team total tonight. So, a few more home games for him before that trade deadline is coming up. So, he could be putting on a few more shows for the Blackhawks faithful there. Who knows? And then if he moves on, I'll have a new team to root for heading into the Stanley Cup playoffs there. So aside from that, closing thoughts. Not sure. Stay tuned for blogs. I'm undecided on golf tournament this week. Couple big tournaments after this week. I've got a gift with Victor Hovland getting into the top 20 at the late in the tournament there with some help, actually. I think he was top 22, and then the rest of the pack helped him out a little bit to get him to the top 20. So came close to breaking even on that one after some wins early in the season. So doing some research, seeing if I like anything tonight. If not, I will be back the next 2 weeks for, I believe it's the Arnold Palmer next week, and then the Players after that. So golf is obviously a little bit of a lull this week, but it's hot and heavy. And other than that, I'll be back with Bulls blogs. We'll see how things go. Obviously, the Pat Beverly signing and could shake things up. But stay tuned. We'll be locked and loaded the rest of the week. And for myself, it's a great, great slate. ECSI VIPs, stay patient. I'm going to put together the alert as we speak. A lot of great games. Again, what we've done and been so successful at is not handicapping, but reading the market. And there's some good numbers in there, but they're now inflated. So we always talk about trying to get the best of a number. Well, you always can't get that. That's why sometimes our alerts come out at 11 a.m., 12 o'clock, 1 p.m., 2 p.m. before we get to the closing bell. And then people are like, hey, that's not fair. Well, it is fair if you reach out to us and we can help you on that end of it. Right. Otherwise, people sticking and staying, and we love you guys. Thank you for watching the show. But there's a lot of meat and potatoes and a lot left on the bone on our texts and alerts. So shout out to that. Tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. B2B Rob at 9:30 a.m. We're going to talk the golf there. 10:30 John Merges back. So we got two guys from Florida back-to-back. Merges will be talking some college hoops, maybe some futures, some baseball futures. 1 o'clock Andrew McGinnis. He will be in Montreal Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we will be doing the show at 1 o'clock then. You and I will be back 4:30, 5 o'clock. Whenever we can squeeze in the bell there. So weather permitting, it sounds like I told you, nasty, windy, icy storms coming my way tomorrow. So as internet permitting, I will be here. And we love the backdrop. We love the hoodie. And just closing thought is it was kind of funny. The local said it tongue in cheek. Aaron Rodgers, you have a choice of the Jets or the Patriots. That was said tongue-in-cheek today. So, again, I can tell you this. Bill is not happy with Mac. He's not happy on how he started calling outside the family last year, trying to talk to other coaches. He wasn't obviously happy with his play. I'm hearing Bailey Zappi is still in Foxborough throwing with Mr. Thornton and some other people. Mac's nowhere to be found.
It's make or break year for Mac. And so if he had an opportunity, in my eyes, if he had an opportunity to bring Jimmy G back, he would in a heartbeat. That's his guy. But if you're talking Aaron Rodgers, that's a whole nother world there. That would all of it. And there was talk last week, the Patriots knocking on the 49ers door, asking about Deebo Samuel. So you had an Aaron Rodgers with a Deebo Samuel. Now you're cooking with Crisco.
And we've seen, yeah. To finish the closing thoughts. I mean, just as a Packers fan observing it, I've seen Bill Belichick ooze over Aaron Rodgers and that big giant smile that he gets anytime he talks to some of those guys that he truly respects their football mind. I'd be interested to see if their personalities, if that were to happen, how their personalities would clash. But I would imagine he would be interested in that for sure.
Well, we'll keep everyone on speed dial for that. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day, a great evening. Have some fun. It's Tuesday. Long way to go in the week. Enjoy it. A lot of good fun action coming up tonight and a lot of good shows tomorrow. Don't miss them, and we'll see you soon.